Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reach Out podcast. This is your host, Juan Pablo Borges. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. This episode number 9 of the Reach Out podcast. We're just one episode away from the Big Ten. Again, I want to thank you all for taking the time to listening to us and letting us be part of your professional development journey. As always, we have a great episode with a great guest. But first of all, make sure to check us out on Instagram, on TikTok. I said this before, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, by all means, I'll always upload the episodes and introduce the episodes once I upload them over there too. So, by all means, this episode, we have a great guest, part of our little season, which is how I like to call it, from guest from Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And please, from wherever you are, just give one of the warmest welcomes to Raheal Pasha. How's it going, man?
Hey man, doing good one. Can't complain. Just living the life.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's hot as heck in Houston right now.
Yeah, and it's crazy, man. Because like in this, I'm actually in the HP office right now, and you'd be probably surprised that I'm wearing a hoodie. But
Yeah,
it's really it gets really cold here. So I know like when I walk outside, it's a heat wave, but as soon as you walk back in, it's like a freezer. So I mean, like, excuse me for wearing the hoodie, man. You probably think I'm burning up here.
yeah, I know, man. It's been crazy. We're like, it's just mid July, which I get it, but we said this in the last episode too. Just make sure you stay inside, stay hydrated. I know, have fun in the summer, but be careful, everybody. But, anyways, today we're going to be talking about how to land that full time offer after graduating or after your internship ends. This is something that a lot of people, as far as I'm concerned, are very, very interested in. I know I am very interested in that. And I'm striving for it during this summer, and I know that a lot of my friends are doing that as well. But before we begin, Raheel, just tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your role, your school years, the whole spill.
Yeah, definitely, man. Just a little bit about myself and who I am. Kind of just kick it back to my time at U of H. So, started at the University of Houston back in 2018, and just like any other clueless 18-year-old, just didn't really know what I wanted to do in college. Just kind of going through the motions. Was actually like an engineering major at one point, and quickly realized it's something I kind of didn't want to do. Kind of stumbled upon the business school just because kind of following my friends' paths and saw that they were finding success there, and I stumbled upon the sales program at the University of Houston, Program for Excellence in Selling. That's where I gained a lot of my experience in my corporate career and just in my educational background too. Was able to go through that sales program and graduate back in 2021. Did an internship with a partner of that program, and then was able to graduate from U of H at the end of 2021. And then took some time off, was able to spend time with my family and really just kind of take it easy, so to say, after school, and then was able to start at HPE back in June of 2022. So been here for about a year, just actually passed my 1 year mark about 2 weeks ago. And it's been a great experience, man. Currently my role right now is a digital sales account manager, and for those who don't know what that is, it's more of just being able to manage relationships with install and new customers, at HP, while also developing relationships with people that sell HP products. So, kind of just a brief overview of that, but yeah, that's currently what I'm doing, and currently enjoying it, and can't complain about it. It's been great.
That is amazing. And Raheel, first of all, congratulations on passing your year mark at HPE. That's just amazing. And for what you said, you've been in the two ends of the spectrum. You've been a student, and you've also been a student worker and an intern, if I'm not mistaken. And now you have the awesome job at HPE, which is amazing. But along that path, what have been the most valuable lessons that you've learned?
Yeah, man. I mean, in terms of like what I've just learned along the way is just I think one of the things, and I think we've talked about this before, just I mean in our conversations, is really just being open. I feel like to almost whatever experiences or whatever that you're gonna dive yourself into. I never thought that I was gonna be a salesperson. I never thought I was going to ever be in a career in sales. Working in a technology industry too, where I'm selling, solutions that I don't know like the exact end spectrums of what they do. It's pretty crazy, but I think that's one of the most valuable things that I've learned because I realized that going through college you're really trying to find yourself. You're trying to understand what you want to do in your life, and people don't realize how important those like years are when you're in college, and no matter your age, whether you're 18 and fresh out of high school, or you're going back into college as like a 25 26-year-old or just a little bit older. There's always things to learn and new things to experience. And I think that's something that I was able to kind of quickly just kind of learn when I was at U of H was just being open to as many things as possible. I was open to the sales program. I wasn't in a sales sort of track. I was a management information systems major, but I just learned about it, heard about it through a few friends, and gave it a shot, and it ended up changing my life. So it was something that I just was able to just put myself out there and be open to, and it did wonders for me, man. So I think that's something that people need to take importantly, really seriously, especially when you're in college and especially in that age too.
Yeah, that's totally right. And you know, talking a little bit more about that and just the lessons that you've learned, and not only that, but the change of the perspective from when you started and now the perspective you have right now, all those responsibilities, and you said you didn't really expect to be in sales at the beginning, but just things changed, and as you mentioned, I think there's such a valuable lesson to be open minded about every opportunity that you encounter. Every person you have the opportunity to talk to is just very, very important to encounter that with an open mind. So, moving on from that and starting off on one of my favorite questions from this topic is from your experience, Raheel, what steps can interns take to ensure they stay on the radar of the hiring managers and the decision makers even after their internship ends?
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially, it's kind of funny you bring this up because during my internship as well, I think one thing that my manager, or at that time, was just drilling into my head and the rest of the interns when I was at Rackspace and my other friends. My Rackspace intern friends also work here at HP as well. They can say the same thing. It's just network and meet with as many people as you can, and
Mm.
also just as well as just not even just staying on the radar, but being proactive, right? You don't get anything by not doing anything, right? If you're not reaching out, you're maybe hesitant to, maybe talk to somebody or do a certain activity. I guess one thing that I've learned is kind of just do it and ask for forgiveness later. Because you're gonna, unless you're making a mistake or something, you're gonna say something that's completely off the wall. I mean, most of what you're gonna be doing when it comes to staying on the radar with recruiters and making sure that you stay on top of, your work past the internship is really just making sure that you're staying proactive and really, just having conversations with your managers or your coworkers and the people around you. I mean, they're people too. They have lives outside of us. They like doing maybe some of the same things that you do. And it's funny when I get to talk to someone who's maybe 30, 40 years older here in the office, and I get a chance to just talk to them about almost anything. Maybe it's about the lake trip that they took the other weekend, or they got to barbecue something. Just small conversations like that even build relationships and help develop trust, right? And that's the main thing that an employer wants to have in their employees is trust. And if they can't do that, I mean, they're not going to keep you on or even want to hire you in the first place. So if you're able to do that and just kind of not just just be up always on top of management, but make sure you have that relationship there and you're doing your due diligence. I think that's the best thing you can do to stay on top of the radar and really feel like, hey, I care about this, and either I want to come back or I'm seeking a full-time offer here. So definitely an important lesson to take in.
I think this is very, very like worth of highlighting, just because that just brings me back to one of the first few episodes I recorded with Byron King. Uh, the story with Byron is that he was one of the people that interviewed me for a career fair at SLB, which is where I'm interning right now. And I remember he told me something very important, which is what you just mentioned, that recruiters and all these people that may seem a little intimidating at first, they're also just people that want to have a great conversation, a genuine conversation with you. So that always sticks whenever it's time to make the decision of who goes through and who doesn't. Uh, it's just like an instant, Who do you vibe with the most? Who was like the person that had like that common ground with you? And that goes like a long run whenever it comes to that decision. So it's important to keep that in mind. And also, I think that it's important to mention how that being just friendly and taking into account the culture of every company is very, very important, especially at HPE. I know that the culture at HPE is something very, very different from all these other tech companies and every company in general. Just from what I've seen, from what I've listened to, everyone is just so friendly, and everyone just wants you to feel comfortable, feel like you're having a good time. You know, It's a very hip culture, which I'm a big fan of, and I think for all the interns that would like to know about more about this company and all the people that want to venture into HPE, I think that's something very important to keep in mind. That is the type of culture that they have. So being an extroverted person or really playing your cards right, if you're an introvert person, this goes a long way if you want to venture into this company, in my opinion. You know?
No, definitely, and this is coming from someone who's like grown up as an introvert too. Like literally, like I think at college kind of made me a little different, but definitely introverted heart for sure. And it's hard. I understand definitely. Just getting to meet, especially in an entirely new environment where you're meeting new people and having to talk about like a whole different things. But like you said, everyone's really friendly here. I think also kind of the vibe, I guess you could say, around, especially the sales division, which is what I'm in, is generally pretty young. So,
Yeah.
it's a lot of people my age, working with me, so we can kind of relate to each other a little bit more easier. I mean, at least in my eyes. But I know that's something that's really special about our culture here is that people are really friendly. People really want you to succeed, and everyone's here for your success. And so, and if you're at a company that's not doing that, maybe that's not right the place for you. So, just evaluate those options and take it seriously.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a great point, and that's something that you only get to understand once you're in there, like truly, truly, and just understand what the values are in the company and how they may not or may align to your values. I think that's always it's always important to highlight in every episode and every discussion that we have, because just like you said, it may not be the right fit for you, even if that's what you thought you wanted at one point in your life. So yeah, just always keep that in mind. Raheel, when you take a look at what your professional future would look like, what are some of the values and traits that you wish to develop in order to achieve that future?
Well, that's a good question, man. I gotta think about that one for a little bit. I mean, for sure. I think a lot of the values and traits that I came into, like what I came into with at HPE, is going to continue on throughout the rest of my career. Which is, for me, just making sure that I'm the best teammate possible, to my team and also to my coworkers around me, and making sure that I'm doing everything as most ethically way possible. So I hate just kind of going under the table or doing anything that I would seem to be like kind of going underneath the system or any sort of rule, I guess you would say, when it comes to doing my job. I want to do things the most ethically way possible, as well as making sure that I am the best teammate and coworker. I think that's like two really key traits of mine that I want to carry on as like through my professional career. And I feel like as you develop into different roles and different changes. Like I said, I'm about a year in now, and I don't know if rather I'm going to be in sales 5 years down the line or not. I know right now this is somewhere I want to be, so I definitely want to stick into it. But I feel
Right.
like as you evolve as a person and the different roles that you might go into, I think they definitely will change. And maybe not your core values and beliefs, but kind of what you're looking for and the traits that you need to develop and the skills that you need to develop to be able to perform those jobs. So it definitely vary over time, but the two I was like mentioning, just being the best coworker, teammate that I can be, as well as making sure I do things, as HP rules stated is, man. So really the two things that I keep in touch for sure.
I think that you said about being a good coworker, it's something that goes a long way in almost every scenario. Nobody goes through this path alone, and you're gonna need somebody's help at some point in time, and they're gonna need your help at some point in time. And it's just the best way to approach that, in my opinion, is just to build a genuine connection with the people that you work with from the beginning. At least for me, in my experience, the office that I work with is just a bunch of interns and a bunch of people that I've worked with SLB for a long, long time. Some people have worked there for like over 20 years, and I'm 21. I just turned 21, and it's just insane to me to mention that. But yet again, I always try to be as genuine as possible, and with every one of them, because everybody has different interests, different objectives out of the same role in the same company. However, you just want to make them have like an easier time, because
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah, you're not trying to make people miserable. I mean, you're at work for a reason, not just to be miserable. The work, it's one thing, but it's always fun, kind of, I guess like shoot the shit, have fun. And especially, with us when we were hired on as like the inside sales class at HP, 50 of us got hired on. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. We had like a training program that got, kind of just cut, and then we were kind of released in a situation where we were put out to sell. And all of us, were kind of scrambling and trying to figure out in our situations, like, oh, what do we do, because, we're just new to this. But like all 50 of us, and I can say this legitimately, like of the 50 or 51 of us actually were able to kind of, lean on each other a lot and, ask each other questions. And it's like the one time where you truly feel like, hey, we're going against not just like one or two individuals, a huge group of us, and that was, it was definitely something special for sure. And definitely something that I definitely remember. I mean, our inside sales class of 2022 was a good one. So I definitely something that I definitely taken a memory for sure.
100%. 100%. Moving on, I believe that part of everyone's professional development journey is to find ways and opportunities to stand out from the competition. That desire often manifests itself by, I don't know, becoming an entrepreneur. And in your case, Raheal, I was able to read a little about Radiant Studios Tech. So can you tell us a little bit more about that venture and what you learned from it?
Yeah, definitely. Radiant Studios Tech is actually like a side project of mine when I was like graduating high school. And it's kind of funny you bring that up one now because we had talked about it a little bit previously, but I now it's kind of evolved into something a little bit special. So I'll get into that. But really, what it was actually just one of my friends who was an absolute genius coder, great software engineer. He had graduated from UT Austin, and me and him kind of had this little startup company where we were selling essentially electronic wall art designs to hotels, bars, and businesses. And it's funny because I told you I didn't know if I ever wanted to go into sales, but that was kind of my first time introduction to sales. But I don't even really mean knowing to it. I was actually cold calling businesses and asking them, hey, me and my friend have this little side project. We got some cool ideas that we think would really fit well in your business or your restaurant or whatnot. And then we email them over a couple of the projects we had, and then they would take some interest in us, and then from there we'd meet with them and see how it would play out. But I think one thing that I was able to learn from it was just such a kind of the first time I was really developing my own idea and really kind of being a sense like without having a sort of direction. I was like, okay, I'm kind of open to do what I want because you learn through school, you kind of have a set track of what you're supposed to go through, the classes you're taking, what you need to do to graduate, where you need to end up. But at that time, I had just graduated high school and I didn't really have any direction at that point. So it was definitely a scary time because I didn't know what I wanted next. But it was definitely fun too because I was able to have a little side project on the side too that was able to kind of tap into some skills that I was able to use later on. And with that, actually, one of we're kind of hoping to restart that this year. Actually, had a conversation with my friend and trying to see if we can have some time. He's gonna come back to Houston a little bit because he's actually up in Boston right now. And try to see if we can kick that off again. I know it's something that it's been on the sidelines for so long, and I want to pick it back up. Just use my creative mind, because I mean, your job is one thing, of course, but one thing that I will definitely say is you got to have a work-life balance, whether that's enjoying a hobby or an activity that you like or a side project. Always have something to look forward to, because your job can be one thing. I mean, I love it, but you want to make sure that you have a healthy balance as well. So you enjoy your job, but you enjoy what you do too in your life.
That is, honestly, it just makes me really happy that from the last time that we talked and to this point, it's just a new update to this project, I think it's just amazing that with all these like new ventures and new projects, it's always possible to just bring it back to life. It's always possible to do more about it. And what you said about, I just touched on a lot of topics that I just found really interesting. And the first one was that sales experience without knowing that it was sales experience. I think that's just valuable, man. Just because uh, I think those little tips and those little moments of knowledge that you learned from working in that side hustle, that side project, I guess you could still use them nowadays, and you're going to still get to use them as your career progresses. I know that in the Father's Day episode that I uploaded with my dad, we were talking about that, how when I was working as a waiter in his restaurant, there's some things that he taught me that at the moment I thought it was just kind of dumb, kind of like silly, because like, who is going to notice this? But yet again, unto this day, I'm working in like totally different industry and progressing in my career, and now I can still sit here and say like I still use those tips and tricks that my dad told me while I was working in sales. So I think having that sales background to whatever level it is, it's very, very important and it's so valuable. So when people just neglect themselves from whatever sales position it is, just because the reputation of sales industry itself, just think it twice. Like, I'm one of those people that, one of my close friends, she asked me like, "Hey, why did you join PS? Like, I think you would enjoy PS." I'm like, I don't really want to, just because I did sales for such a long time, and not only in the restaurant business, but also like for one of the companies, AT&T. I used to be a salesman, and I just want to progress from that. But just moving on to any different industry, sales is always going to be a part of your role, and any way that you can like implement it. You're gonna have to sell anything, like an idea, yourself in an interview. So that's something very, very important to keep in mind. And also, I think that what you said, having a balance, work-life balance, that's very important too. At least in my opinion, in my case, this podcast is my side project, and as it continues to grow, I feel like sometimes I blow it out of dimension in my head, because there's just so many things going on at one time. But yet again, I'm only 9 episodes in. It's just kind of weird. And I remember I touched on it the last episode too, but I was talking with Dean Roger Barrascout from Bauer, and he made me realize like there's so many much there to do, and so many much room to grow in this project, and that I didn't really had an idea. I didn't really saw it. That was not in my spectrum, but that is what it's about. Like having those side projects, becoming an entrepreneur to whatever degree you can. It's something that you should always strive for. So always keep that in mind. And moving on and returning to our previous topic, in your opinion, Raheal, what qualities or skills make an intern stand out and increase their chances of being offered a full-time position?
It's what I said earlier. One, being having an open mind, learning as much as you can, and really just being attentive as possible. I think those are the three really key traits of being a good intern, because someone could be a know-it-all in terms of the industry or the job, and think like, hey, I'm 100% good on this, like I don't need training, this is light work for me. But at the end of the day, if you're not coachable, and you're not developing other skills that's going to make you better in the future, it really does put an impression on employers, because employers are going to look at someone, because they can hire almost anybody in terms of, as long as they're able to trust them and be able to have develop a good relationship with them. They can teach you everything that they need to do in a job, whether it's the processes of, like, how to do a quote here at HP, or just anything in general with what I do. These things can be taught, right? So I think the main thing is, if you're open and receptive to being able to be coached, and not looking at things in a negative mindset and twisting that, I think that's definitely something that you definitely need to take into hand, especially as an intern, because they're gonna look for that. They're expecting you to be there and just learn, making sure that you understand that, hey, this is what our culture's like, this is what our company's like, these are our values, this is what your idea is when you get into the role that you're interning for, or maybe you go ahead and try something else, but this is generally what it's gonna be like. So that's what an internship's for, right? You get the feel of it, and they'll decide from there whether they offer you a full-time position or not. And it starts with you just being as open as possible to what they're providing you, and being grateful for that too, because it's an opportunity that getting an internship that a lot of students don't get a chance to get. So if you have one, just take full advantage of it, because you're definitely in a position where you're making money, and you're also just there to learn. So it's a great position to be in, so just take those into account.
That is very important. I think that just was just perfectly said from your end, Raheel, just because, as I mentioned in previous episodes, I always try to include the gratefulness part into every conversation. And as you said, this is just a great position to be in. Some problems are just better to have than other problems, in my opinion. And I just related to my life back in my home country in Colombia. It's not a thing. Like there's a different system whenever it comes to internships. To the best of my understanding, they don't pay you whenever you intern in Colombia, and you only get to do it in your senior year, like right before you graduate. So I think right now it's not only a learning opportunity with one of the most competitive companies that you can ever work for. You're getting paid to do it. You're getting paid like competitively, and you also have the opportunity to uh, have a work-life balance. You know, just enjoy the summer, meet people. Everyone wants you to do great. You know, you have the ability to connect with people that are already working in this company that you already want to work for after you graduate. Like, I have this friend of mine that she's interning at HP. I don't really know if she would want me to talk about this, but she's had multiple opportunities where she has been in contact with the CEO of HPE just because she's working on the same building as him. And I think that's just so surreal, and it's a great opportunity to grow. You know, just that's all what it's about, just professional development, and those opportunities. Sometimes, just because we already know that we had that position in the company for the summer, we just let it go over our heads, and we don't really think about how grateful we can be and how fortunate we are to be in this position. So always remember this, and I think that was very, very well said, Raheel. Um, Moving on, it's very easy to just convince yourself that you want to think creatively and think outside the box to distance yourself from competitors in the same internship, and sometimes it's coming from interns not to take into account the main core company's values, but rather they just want to do a good job overall. So, Raheel, how can interns demonstrate their commitment and the dedication to the company's mission and values during their internship?
Yeah, I mean, when you're getting on board, especially into a company, you align yourself with your values along with them, and if your values value alongside with yourself, then you shouldn't really have an issue. I feel like when it comes to just when it comes to showing your personal brand and understanding that, hey, I'm being the best version of myself here in the office every day, or in front of a computer screen, and making sure that I'm doing my job. And I think that's like one of the key things that people have to really take into account is you don't really have you know all the time in the world, and so making a good impression, first impressions last, I would say, a good amount of time, but as soon as people get to know obviously their impression will change. And with that, I feel like that's something that people need to understand, because I feel like in my internship that I was at previously, and I can say this about the interns from Rockstars, they were all great. But it can get a little competitive sometimes, of course. And you gotta fight that. And I think that if you're just showing that you're the best version of yourself without showing to your employer, like, or even doing this, I think this is an absolute terrible thing. But don't ever try to like even try to sabotage, or maybe even think about at the other side, like, oh man, this person got this over me, like, why was that the case? Because I mean, of course, like, that thought sometimes can pass through your head. It's normal. But I think that if you're able to show yourself that, like, hey, that I could just be, like I said, the best coworker, the best teammate possible, and being the best version of yourself, management will know that. And if they don't, then you have to know that for yourself, and figure that out, and find out, hey, maybe this isn't the right role for me. Maybe I need to find another role within this company, or hey, maybe I need to jump ship. There's always a time where you have to be able to understand when you need to make those right decisions, and that when you get to a point where you feel like, hey, I need to evaluate myself now, or hey, maybe I need to evaluate my situation here and see where I go forward. It's not a selfish thing to do. It's actually, I think a lot of people don't understand this, because they think, oh man, like, I'm dedicated to this job, and I need to put my best friend forward. You do, but you also need to make sure you make the best decision for yourself as well, because I can't stress how important mental health is, especially when you're working full time. Especially sometimes you can get a little run down. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. Sometimes I wish I could say that one all the time, but it just isn't. So make sure to take that into account, because your mental health is important, your well-being is important, and it goes again to like I said previously, kind of having some activities on the weekend to plan, or some side projects, and making sure you're putting yourself in that good headspace. So when you get to work, or you're in a team environment, I know sometimes your emotions can get the best of some people, so you don't want to put yourself in that position. And I've admittedly had those times too, where I felt like I was like, man, like, I definitely feel a little uh, underappreciated. Definitely not here, I would say, but definitely at some other jobs I felt like that. But it's all about kind of trusting the process, trusting who's around you, and if you don't, then like I said, that's a conversation you need to have with yourself, and kind of where you see yourself moving from there.
You touched on two very, very great things to think about. First of all, is it's easy to get lost in the moment. It's easy to take things for granted and lose your north, and that often results in what you said, trying to maybe undermine the other students that are in the same position as you, trying to sabotage them in some type of way just because you're trying to compare yourself to them. That is, as you said, one of the worst things that you can do. Please always just like keep in mind that it's not that deep, it's not that serious. It's just it's work. It's a job, it's an internship. Yet again, uh, burning bridges and burning relationships, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's the worst thing that you can do. It's the last thing that this podcast are trying to advocate for. And it is what it is. Like, just like keep that in mind. And also that aspect of well-being and mental health, it's very, very important too. Like, at least in my opinion, I didn't, in my experience, I didn't quite understood it until it happened, where it was like, man, I don't know why am I so tired if I barely moved, but I was just doing so much things, like in the computer in my brain. I was kind of messing up, and it was just like, man, this is one of those days. So always keep yourself in check. Understand that bad days come every once in a while, and it's okay to feel bad sometimes, but take care of yourself. And going on into these two questions, first of all, is what advice or message would you like to give to all of the summer interns listening to you right now, and particularly to the people from PS or your programs of excellence in selling?
Hey, so for anyone that's having an internship right now, hey, take advantage of your time. Right now, you're in the midst of July. Some people's internships are ending this month, or maybe in a couple of weeks or so. So, just take advantage of it, make some money, and enjoy it, because you're gonna you might not get a chance to come back. Whether it's you find another position or an opportunity, or maybe some of the people that you met at that company. That's something that you definitely want to hold dear to, and that experience. Just make sure that they you're living every moment within your internship as if it's almost like your last. Not like it's in a bad way, but in a sense that, hey, this opportunity comes once, and you don't know if it will come again. So just be grateful for that. And for all the PSers out there, any incoming students, good luck to y'all. It's a journey for sure, and all the returning ones, y'all have a coming off y'all's internships, feeling good, a little bit richer, a little pockets fatter, and getting back into the PS grind for sure. So just good luck to everybody who's gonna get back to the school year when it starts back in a month. And for all the interns, like I said, just grind down, focus, and enjoy this time.
That is a great advice, man. I definitely feel like I need to hear that to some extent. Yeah, like I did this, and we still have. Oh no, I think that's it for now in terms of HP guests. I think pretty sure you're the last one. We had Edwin, we had Elizabeth, and now we have you, Raheel. It's just been an honor, and I feel just great knowing that I can help and just make the PS students' path a little easier by these interviews. And one of the questions that I want to ask you is, going to the other side of the spectrum, what advice do you have for the interns who may not receive a full time offer at the end of their internship? How do you think they can turn this experience into a positive thing and continue their job search effectively?
Yeah, and another key important lesson I didn't really touch on in our conversation one, but it's that rejection, right? That you're gonna face all the time. I've applied for dozens and dozens of jobs, and been rejected all across, and it's something that it can be discouraging. You apply for so many positions, you put your hardest effort forth, and it's just not getting noticed. And for so long, I was in that position, so don't think that someone who's maybe at HP didn't have that same struggle going into that journey, because it's all about how you're building yourself up through those tough times and getting to your end goal. So for anyone who doesn't have an internship right now, or is struggling to secure a full-time offer, hey, you guys, I was right there with y'all at one point. Make sure that don't get lost in the process. Trust it, and you will, as long as you put your full best effort forward. And hey, maybe it's trying something different. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend and asking for some help. Don't be afraid to do that. I feel like some people think that's a sign of weakness, but no, it's a sign of strength to be able to ask for that. because at the end of the day, you're trying to get better. You're trying to develop to be the best version of yourself, and you're not going to do that just on your own. You have a whole world that you live in. You got so many different people that are going to affect your lives, and especially at this age, I've been able to meet hundreds and hundreds of people at HP, and even friends or one of my coworkers who I can now, some of them I can call some of my really close friends. So it's definitely, and a lot of them have made an impact on just not just myself at work, but in my life as well. So always keep that in account. You're always going to have more experiences and new people to meet. And it's going to eventually lead you to an opportunity that you're going to be like, wow, why was I stressing out like a year or two before? And you're going to land in the best position possible. I promise you that.
That is very well said, Raheel. I think you touched on all the key points when it comes to that question. Um, don't think it's the end of the world because it's definitely not. It sucks. I get it. No, I've been in that position as well. I've had a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of downs when it comes to like being rejected from positions that I wanted, and just it sucks. But there's better things coming, as you said. And just closing this interview, Raheel, I want to ask you, what makes you happy, man?
Honestly, man, it's just kind of getting a day like this. Actually, in HP, this week is actually our wellness week. So every second week of every summer here at HP, we get like a Friday off. So today's Thursday. I'm done for the week, man. It's Friday tomorrow, so I'm gonna be on taking a little road trip up to Austin for a little bit, having a good time with some friends this weekend. But yeah, really, I think what makes me happy, man, is just having things like that where I have things planned after a long work week, and I know I busted hard and had a crazy week, and now I get to enjoy myself on a weekend with my hard-earned money that I had. So I think that's what I look forward to now, and just spending time with as many people as you can, because especially when you work, man, you realize people get busy, lives get serious, your friends get married now, it's weird. So you gotta really you really gotta make sure that you draw your time out for your friends, your homies, and people that you're close with, because especially when you're working, it's tough. It's gotten really tough. But if you looking forward to that or have things planned, I mean that's what makes me happy, man. At the end of the day, when I'm looking forward to something that I enjoy, or an activity that I'm gonna be doing.
That is very well said, man. I'm jealous. I don't have Friday off, but I feel happy for you, bro. I hope you have a great time in Austin. Yeah, man, just like enjoy the little things. Come on, man. It's summer, it's July. Enjoy this thing because it's never coming back. But yeah, as always, make sure to reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. It's not about the things that you can get from people, but it's about building genuine relationships. So, Raheel, thank you again for being here, man. I appreciate you.
No, man, thank you for having me on. This was great, and I appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation, man. So thank you, Juan.
Absolutely. To everyone, see you next time.